Hi everybody, welcome to Lena Unedited, and I'm your host Lena Robinson. Before we start, can I get you all to like and subscribe and share and do all those things? That would be really amazing. That would really help my channel. Today I was thinking about what to talk about today, and then I was walking along and I saw this building which is not far from my house. Look at that building, isn't it amazing? It's called the Royal Patriotic Building here in Wandsworth Common. And the reason that I decided to talk about the topic I'm going to talk about today was kind of inspired a little bit by that. So it's going to be about legacy. Now, I talk a lot here and there about legacy. I talk about it with regards to the FTSQ gallery, and that I think and truly believe that art is legacy, as in the legacy that the artists leave behind, but also the legacy of collectors when they pass it on to family members and so forth. And I thought, I also talk about it when I'm doing brand positionings, when I'm working with companies and brands. And one of the biggest questions that I ask a founder, and it kind of cracks open the sort of genuine story that they want to tell with regards to their brand and the brand positioning, is like, what legacy do you want to leave behind? So what I wanted to do today, sorry, my arm's getting sore already. What I wanted to talk about today was, what does legacy actually mean? What am I talking about when it comes to legacy? Sorry, train's going by, a bit noisy. And I thought, well, it probably means different things to different people. So why don't I just talk to you about what it means to me? So I've always thought that it's really important, the mark we leave in the world. I think it's important in the work we do. I think it's important in the art we create. I think it's important in the relationships that we have and the impact that we have with every single conversation. And over the years, more and more as I've got older, I've started to learn some things about some of the impact that you have on positive and negative on people's lives. And I think during the time when I wasn't well and I was facing maybe not being here as long as I thought I was going to be, was, okay, what's the mark I want to have left in the world? What legacy do I want to leave behind? And it makes me think about, a lot of you are artists, a lot of you are teachers, a lot of you are coaches, business owners. Every person out there has an opportunity to leave behind a really good legacy or an impact that they have on the world. And how do we do that? How do we show up every day in a way that is going to provide impact? And I think it comes down to thinking about, like, every interaction we have, every connection we have with a fellow human being can have impacts beyond what we think. So for example, and I'm going to possibly embarrass her about this, but I'm going to shout out to her anyway, Miriam Ingram, who is one of my friends, one of my New Zealand friends that lives over here from the New Zealand Business Women's Network. And we met in Startup Club. She didn't reveal to me for a while that we'd actually met before. Funnily enough, 10 years earlier we'd met on a train platform in, I think it was Farringdon. And she'd remembered me. She'd remembered me from literally what was probably, I don't know, I was drunk at the time, but I'm pretty sure, probably maybe a 10-15 minute conversation maximum. We were waiting for a train. And she said she'd always remembered and always hoped she would meet me again. Well, here's the cool thing. We ended up working together. I ended up helping her develop her brand with her husband, David. Hi, David. Shout out to you guys. For Cedar Living. And I did that with my friend, Anna Cowie. Anna did the design and beautiful creation of new logos and brand guidelines and things like that. And I came forward with regards to the story that they wanted to tell and the brand positioning and the mark they wanted to leave behind through Cedar Living. What's really interesting about that is, and this is no disrespect to Miriam, but I can't remember that conversation, probably mainly because I've been drinking. We had been to a New Zealand Business Women's Network event. In fact, we're pretty sure it was the first one that Bronwyn, shout out to Bronwyn, had ever held. But she'd remembered me all this time. She'd really hoped one day we'd bump into each other again. And I think one of the things we need to think about, we walk around in a world that at the moment that is full of anger, full of chaos, full of angst, anxiety and what have you. And we need to think about, me included by the way, like I can get grumpy as hell sometimes. Just ask my poor flatmate, lodger Carolyn. Shout out Carolyn, puts up with me. I can be a grumpy old bag sometimes. I get tired, I don't sleep very well, blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing that I want to think about when it comes to legacy and impact. When you are creating services for your businesses, when you are looking after and engaging with clients and customers, when you're dealing with your family members, when you are dealing with staff members, when you are dealing with the girl in the corner shop or the boy that's, sitting at the bus stop by themselves, or every single interaction we have the opportunity for both negative and positive impact. And it makes me think, do we need to think about that more often? Are we conscious that we need to be doing that more often? I think legacy is a really powerful thing, and often something we think is a massive, massive, massive thing. And hopefully, I'm not going to pretend, I want to leave a massive impact on the world. But I'm also okay with putting up a post. One of the questions I was asking myself is if this wasn't going out to anybody, or my posts were not being liked or what have you, would I still post them? The answer is yes. I'll tell you why. I remember years ago when I first started FTSQ, and I put up a post about celebrating nonconformity, about being okay with being different. And I didn't know this, and I'd put it up on LinkedIn and Twitter and all those places, and somebody in Australia had seen the post that I'd put, and they sent me the most amazing message that, it was quite long, but effectively said, "Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for saying what you said. You caught me at a time where I was feeling really down. I'm all the way over in Australia." She understood that I was from New Zealand but living in England. And she said, "You will never know how much that moment meant to me reading that." She said, "All of a sudden I felt understood and that there was maybe a place for me in the world." It had me in tears because it was all the way around, halfway around the world, and we've got social media to thank for that capability. It was in a country that's next door to mine in Australia, and it was by a person that was unknown to me but was going through a really, really hard time. And I just think to myself, those moments, they may not seem very big necessarily to me, although it felt pretty big at the time. I was like, oh God, that's amazing. But I think about the impact that must have had on that person. So here's my challenge to all of you. When it comes to legacy, are we just trying to get all the money in the bank account? Or are we thinking about the things that impact, the positive impact that we can have on the world, and also reducing the negative impact we can have as well? I know something I'm working on the negative impact is that I can be blunt as hell, always with a meaningful kindness usually behind it, but sometimes not everybody takes that very easily, and I have to be really mindful of that. So I have to be mindful of the impact that I have on things that I'm saying. But I also think about, when I get to the end of my life, what do I want on my tombstone? And I'm not talking about, let's be negative and think about dying and whatever. It's not about that. What it is about is that when I look back on my life, what's going to be on that headstone? Is it going to be, was kind, was generous, was thoughtful, gave herself to others, looked after other people? That's what I want my legacy to be. I want my legacy to be around having helped people, having served people, having supported people, and to be honest, looked after myself as well. But I know I'd much rather have that than nobody in this entire world ever on their tombstone ever has, I have X amount of money in my bank. Like, who the hell does that? Nobody. So there's a reason why I think about legacy being different. It's about impact. From my perspective anyway, it's about impact. It's the art we leave in the world. It's the support we give others. It's the advice. It's the allowing of space for others to be, something I also have to work on. I do it a lot in the community that I run with FTSQ in the gallery, but I can do more, and I think it's really, really important that we think about the legacy we leave behind. So anyway, that's my thing for today. Just have a final look at this beautiful building, Royal Patriotic Building. I'll put a link in the post so you can see what that's all about. And yeah, pretty much that's me done for the day, talking about legacy. But yeah, have a good week. Have the challenge of thinking about what legacy you can leave in the world, what impact you can have on others in a positive way, what you can do on an everyday basis just to leave behind a really cool legacy. Anyway, that's it for me today. Have a good week, and we will catch you next week, hopefully. See you later, everybody, and thank you for your support. See you later.